If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Your coffee would never get cold. Your flight would always be on time. And your mattress would always respond to you and your unique sleep needs. Sleep Number mattresses are designed to respond to your body and shift with your changing life, helping you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number. To a good life sleep.
When she said I don't dance now, I make money moves, that was a mission statement for a whole new generation.
Respect, but that's not the Mount Rushmore. Listen, cash rules everything around me. When that line dropped, it changed the whole hustle. The greatest tracks are never finished. They're just debated forever. Introducing the Sprite Living Track List. 50 tracks that shape the culture from 6 decades of hip-hop. Scan the QR code on a Sprite or Sprite Zero Sugar to see the full breakdown. Obey your thirst. Sprite.
It's the best station, period.
Let's be honest. These guys have the best job on the planet.
You come to work in a frickin' bathrobe?
So if you're out there working hard, you should also expect your radio hosts to put in an honest day's work. So of course, Jake and Ben are live at 5 with the biggest headlines and the best analysis in Utah. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5. The KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's time for Live at 5, brought to you by our friends at Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary, 855-TRAJAN-1, or visit their website at trajanwealth.com.
This song came out in 04, by the way.
Did it?
So, no. Not the song.
Then it was a different Blink
different
song?
Anyways,
I'd
neither
have to
here nor
look it
there.
up.
Yeah. Not important.
Not important. Ben, this morning, PK was hanging out with Riley Jensen because DJ is off on vacation, I think. Actually, I have no idea what DJ is doing. Something very DJ-like.
Yep, something important.
What would a DJ vacation be? Something like definitely a Sports Hall of Fame type vacation.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
Cooperstown or
something
along those lines.
Like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that?
But Jay Hill came on with them this morning.
Good get.
And, Jay's awesome. He's a great interview. He's now the defensive coordinator in Michigan. Let's play a clip from Jay because they did talk to him about moving on to Michigan. And here's Jay Hill talking about bringing Witt's defense to Ann Arbor.
You spent over a decade on Kyle Whittingham's staff. And then obviously you were the head coach at BYU, transitioned to BYU, made them one of the top defenses in the country over the past 3 years. If you think back on your career and on those transitions, what core defensive philosophy has traveled with you through every stop? And is there anything that you've had to change at Michigan, either as far as philosophy goes or personnel?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. I watched Kyle when I was a player and a young coach call this defense. I watched Gary Anderson call it. I watched Kalani call it. Everybody puts their own flavor and flair on it. I got to call it at Weber State. And one thing that was cool about that is I could try new things, and it might not work. And you know what? Probably nobody knew. And Weber State was so amazing for me because I could really pinpoint and hone in on what I wanted to become as a play caller, as a head coach, as just an assistant coach. I just had so much growth and development. So going back to the question, I believe you got to be able to stop the run. No matter what the offensive scheme is, because they're all different, you got to be able to stop the run. I believe in man coverage when you can do it. Now, I'm not just going to force man just to force it, but I do believe in man coverage because it makes quarterbacks throw tight windows. And if you do it properly with good technique, everybody should be covered. Beyond that, I believe in keeping quarterbacks on their toes and not knowing what's going on in the secondary. So I think we do a good job with disguises. And then I want to keep them on their toes by not knowing if we're in man or cover 2 or cover 3 or whether we're blitzing. So we tried to do a good job of disguising, a good job of mixing it up. So if you're asking me like what I believe in, keep quarterbacks guessing on what's going on, make sure you can play some man coverage, and you got to do things to stop the runs.
All right, so that was Jay talking about taking the Witt defense to Michigan, which I think is a great storyline and something that I will be following.
Absolutely.
Witt's defense at a big-time school.
A Big Ten school specifically.
At Michigan, I think is a huge storyline. I think whether Jay and Witt and Jason Beck succeed or fail, I think is a huge storyline. I think what Utah and BYU have done to replace those coaches, also a big storyline. I think that Michigan is a big storyline here this year. But, Ben, there was some controversy on the voicemails, and I'm curious. I want to get listeners' opinion. I want to know. We've got to program shows.
Yep.
We've got to talk about things. We have to find things that are interesting and talk about what our listeners want to talk or want to hear about. A grand misconception about sports radio. We don't talk about what we want to talk about.
Correct.
Hopefully we're talking about what listeners want to listen to. And sometimes we are better at that than others. But rest assured, this radio show is not here for us. It's here for the listeners.
Pulling back the curtain.
Point. Yeah.
Some of the things we talk about are probably not the things you and I are most specifically interested in. That doesn't mean we're not interested in. We like the job.
Sure.
We enjoy what we're talking about. But the storylines we care about or are more focused on may not be what most of the audience is interested in.
I had a coworker once who said, "You got to talk about what you're passionate about." And it's like, dude, do you think I'm passionate about the backup point guard battle for the Utah Jazz? No.
Not particularly.
But do people want to hear about the backup? I'm picking something random.
Sure,
but
right.
Backup point guard battle for the Utah?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That's what people want to hear about. So it's kind of funny. So I think that Michigan this year will be a relevant topic. I will certainly be following it. But let's listen to a couple of these voicemails that were left for DJ and PK, but we are hijacking. Let's start off. Let me get a name here, Christian. Let's start off with Braden and what he had to say.
Okay, so here's my thing. I see no reason as to why we're actually talking about Michigan. The moment that Jay Hill and the moment that Kyle Whittingham and everybody at Utah left Utah or BYU, then, I don't know, to Utah sports, they became irrelevant. I mean, yeah, sure, they're still recruiting here, but don't give them the airwaves. Stick to our Utah teams.
All right. There's Braden's thoughts.
Let me ask you this. Who do you think Braden is a fan
of? Turn signaling.
Other than that, thank you for using your signal.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Braden. I don't know. Why?
I'm curious if we will find a theme of who wants to know less about this, whether they're a BYU fan or a Utah fan.
Well, if you're asking who's probably more bitter about the topic, I would guess Utah fans.
That would be my guess also.
But I would guess Utah fans are also way more dialed in. Like, I have no idea what Braden, what kind of fan he is. But if he's a Utah fan, he's going to be watching everything that happens in Michigan.
I would think so, too.
Because it is directly related to a decision made by your university to basically move on from Kyle Whittingham to Morgan Scalley. It's entirely related.
It's a perfect scenario. You can love Witt and be mad at Utah and hope he succeeds in Michigan to prove Mark Harlan or whoever wrong. Or you can hate Witt and hate watch the Wolverines and hope that they lose every game. It's really easy to watch, though. It's really easy to talk about and care about.
Let's now hear from Randy, who also weighs in on the topic.
Morning, guys. Long-time listener to the program. Long-time BYU fan. But I was born in Columbus, Ohio. When I hear you guys start talking Michigan football, I reach up and hit the button on the radio and shut it off. I'm not going to sit here and listen to anything about Michigan football. So, have an enjoyable season. I'm out.
Hardcore.
Can't believe people are still ending phone calls with "I'm out." Speaking of things that are from like 30 years ago.
Uh-huh.
But now, maybe he's a special circumstance because obviously he's an Ohio State fan as well as a BYU fan.
Uh-huh.
So particularly doesn't like Michigan. But from a BYU standpoint, how Jay Hill does at Michigan is absolutely relevant because of the candidates to be a head coach at BYU someday, and I'm not predicting Kalani's demise by any means, but someday Jay Hill is on that list. And how
Did you say at Michigan or at BYU?
Or at BYU.
Yeah. Also
if
at
I
Michigan.
said Michigan, but
Also at
maybe
Michigan,
also
yeah.
at Michigan. You know, how he performs is certainly relevant to BYU. And BYU's certain trajectory as a defense under Kalani was a lot of mediocrity until he hired Jay Hill, and the defense went to the next level. So now does that magic continue with our buddy K-pop going up? We're going to be golden. That is a big story. Can Kelly Papinga live up to the legacy that Jay Hill created at BYU, even though it was a short one? It was a very relevant one.
Of course.
Their rise in the Big 12 coincided with Jay Hill and his defense.
We had Mitch Harper on the show earlier, and he said there's a world where you can conceivably talk about Kalani finding his name into the same conversation as Lavelle. And Mitch says, I wouldn't have believed that, I can't remember what he said, 3 years ago. What happened 3 years ago? Jay Hill jumped from Weber State to BYU and changed everything. That doesn't mean Kalani's not a great coach. I'm a big Kalani believer. Jay, his arrival at BYU was immediately related to BYU's liftoff as a serious contender in the Big 12. Absolutely. So I'm totally with you.
So my question, I guess, to our listeners is...
Is that all of our voicemails? Okay.
Yeah, for now. My question to our listeners is Michigan, is that a relevant topic? At Michigan.
But yes, I think I think it is. In fact, I think there's a real argument, contrary to Randy and
Braden,
that Witt and Michigan and Jay Hill might actually be the most interesting storyline in college football locally this year. I think there's a world where both BYU and Utah are good and not great, and are third and fourth place teams in the Big 12. I hope not. It'd be way more fun to talk about Utah and BYU being top 10 teams and competing for the college football playoff. It's just not guaranteed, and you're one injury away always. That because Witt can't get injured and lose his job, and Jay Hill is there, that ends up being a storyline that I actually think personally is more unique than another good, not great season from BYU or another good, not great season from Utah, even though Morgan Scalley taking over as a head coach is a huge deal. Papinga coming in as the defensive coordinator is a huge story. I do think there's a world where Witt being at Michigan is a more interesting story.
More interesting. Yeah. I mean,
it's certainly more nationally relevant.
Well, way more, but that's because it's Michigan.
But it's not like we're going to talk about it because it's nationally relevant. We're talking about it because it's Kyle Whittingham, who was the most important coach in our state over the last 20 years.
Well, we never saw Lavelle coach somewhere else. I never saw Frank Beamer coach somewhere else.
Never saw Jerry Sloan coach somewhere else.
Never, yeah. I mean, I think that makes it relevant. But
Jerry did technically before the Jazz, but sure.
Yeah, after, though. We're talking about these
after their legacies.
Coaches had these legacy runs, and then we just didn't see them coach anywhere else. I do think that it makes it relevant in and of itself. I mean, your legendary coach is somewhere else coaching right after he got done. And the fact that Utah ran Kyle Whittingham out, and maybe people will say that's a little extreme, but let's be honest. If you lowball the coach with a crappy contract that they're never going to take, that is just as good as asking them to leave. That's what El Cheapo did to Calabro.
Tiago Splitter.
Wow, you can say that too.
Oh, yeah, Kevin Calabro. Yeah,
except
absolutely.
for Tiago Splitter is far from a
legend.
legend.
To the play-by-play voice of
Kevin Calabro, he said the offer that I received was subprime. They wanted him to leave, so they offered him a crappy deal that he could never accept.
It was untenable.
The details in that contract that they offered Kyle Whittingham were no coach would have taken those.
Correct.
They took away all of his power.
Correct.
They took away all of his authority to make decisions. They basically gave it to Morgan. They said he had to march up to the athletic director's office even to make the most basic of decisions. He was never going to take that.
Correct.
So running out the established guy only for him to take a better job right away, I find really interesting. And I guess whether fans will admit that it's interesting or not maybe is the question. But, to get that reaction, I guess the reason I found this segment interesting is because I'm surprised Jay, who's beloved by everybody.
Should be everybody. He did nothing but make everyone better he touched here.
Utah, Weber State, BYU. Even Utah State tried to hire him, a couple of times? I mean, a dude who came on this station weekly when he was the head coach at Weber State. I mean, we wanted to have him on as the head coach at Weber State because he's charismatic and everybody loves Jay Hill. For a good reason. He's a good coach and a good member of the community, person, all those things. I wouldn't expect somebody like Jay to generate that. Not that it was Jay hate by any means, but, we're done with these guys. You can't talk about Michigan. I don't know. I think it's compelling.
Not to argue with the opinions of Braden or Randy, because their
they're
opinions,
relevant.
and they're telling the truth.
That's why we're playing it.
That they are calling in to leave a voicemail because this is how they feel. I think that's totally fair. But from as you mentioned, we do have to program the show and how much do we talk about things, and somebody who specifically has focused on the Utah Jazz, I can tell you behind the scenes, I'll pull back the curtains and tell you the two biggest stories I've written about the Utah Jazz, I think in the last 4 years since the rebuild started, were Donovan Mitchell got engaged and Rudy Gobert's girlfriend or whatever, baby mama, split. Neither of those players has played for the Utah Jazz since 2022.
In quite some time, sure.
And the biggest stories about the Utah Jazz over the last 4 years, that includes 8 draft picks, 3 lottery picks, 4 lottery picks, and all the Lowry Markkanen becoming an all-star. Yeah, the all-star game being here. The biggest stories are Donovan Mitchell got engaged and Rudy Gobert's baby mama left. Or Rudy broke up with her. Yeah, we're going to be paying attention to Kyle Whittingham. And when I say we, I don't mean Jake and I mean the state of Utah.
Well, here, all our call-ins, what they're kind of getting at. When Gary Anderson went from Wisconsin to Oregon State, and Scott Barnes was the athletic director at Oregon State, there were hosts on this station, including myself, that had relationships specifically with Gary Anderson. And Gary, being a Utah guy, and Gary likes us and likes doing radio, would come on even though he was the head coach at Oregon State. And so people started clowning us, calling us 1280 the Dam.
That's funny.
Yeah, or 1280 the Beef, which was super funny.
Very funny.
And you know what? Those listeners had a point. We love Gary, and Utah had an association with Oregon State, but it's not like Oregon State was USC or...
Correct.
It's not like Oregon State. They were even in a different division. So it's not even like they were entirely relevant.
Yeah.
So when we got criticized for that, I kind of thought, yeah, you probably have a point.
Yeah, it might be fair.
I mean, I don't know how much Oregon State content we really need to get out there because of a coach who coached at Utah and Utah State 2 stops before. I think this is different. I think this is different because of the way that it went down, the way that they left. Gary Anderson left Utah State for Wisconsin because he was the hot coach, not because Utah State ran him out.
Did Utah lose a running backs coach to USC?
Yes.
Do you remember his name?
No.
Did we ever talk about him?
Probably not.
It's not a story. That actually doesn't matter that much.
Well,
no, it matters internally. That matters with the minutia of Utah.
That coach wasn't a head coach. I think it's
no,
different.
exactly. That's exactly my point.
Right.
It's exactly my point. I don't think there's just this infatuation or lack of imagination of why you would talk about Gary Anderson at Wisconsin or at Oregon State, or why we would talk about Kyle Whittingham at Michigan, or why we would have talked about Kalani at Penn State,
yeah.
Or why we've talked about Mark Pope at Kentucky. Now, we haven't gone crazy about Mark Pope on Kentucky, but we followed it. We probably bring it up maybe once a week. When they were struggling, we talked about it more than that. It is an interesting storyline. That stuff does matter.
This was before you guys, but we talked about Urban in Florida a lot.
All the time.
In 2005.
Absolutely, I'm sure. And rightfully so.
Yeah.
So there will be some fans who don't want to hear Michigan. There are going to be people who that is a very sore subject because they either love or hate Kyle Whittingham. And I think that's totally understandable. I'm not here to dismiss anyone's opinion, but the idea that it's like not a relevant storyline is false.
I agree. But I'm curious to hear feedback. That's why I wanted to play that.
I'm glad they called in.
Yeah, I'm glad they called in too, and I'm sure that they're not the only people with that opinion. So if you want to weigh in, do the voicemail feature on the KSL Sports app. Download it And it's pretty easy. You can record a message and send it right to Christian here in the control room. And we, of course, always encourage you to do so. We will have more coming up next. It's Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Best thing that's ever happened to you financially. Go.
Easy. Sold my car on Carvana. Amazing offer.
Really? I hit 200 on a scratcher.
Did the scratcher come to your house and hand you a check?
No.
How many scratchers did you hit to get that? I hit a button on Carvana.com once.
Okay, that's fair.
It's like the lottery, except you always win.
Not like the lottery at all, actually.
Exactly. Inexplicably good. Offers worth bragging about. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Just doing it big, you know?
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
No, I don't. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Ben, we got some feedback from our last segment on the TalkSnap. We were talking about, is Michigan relevant? Jay Hill was on the station this morning. But I thought it was a great interview, by the way. Go to kslsports.com or wherever you get your podcasts, and you can give it a listen there if you want. I thought it was a great conversation. But Aaron tweets at us, and he says, you want feedback? Yes, we do. He says, don't talk Michigan football on Utah local sports radio. I don't hate Jay for leaving. I just don't have any investment into Michigan sports. I couldn't care less what he thinks or how he does when he's there. I don't know if I... Okay, Lloyd, or Aaron Lloyd, don't get me wrong. I believe you, but I kind of don't. I think you do. I don't think you have investment in Michigan. And I would guess that, well, Aaron could be a BYU or Utah fan or whatever. You're not invested in Michigan. You're invested in Jay and Coach Witt and Coach Beck. Because it is a reflection on your programs. If it was some other random that got hired at Michigan, then no, I totally agree with you. Why would we be breaking down Michigan football on Utah local sports? I understand that logic. But Kyle Whittingham is Utah football, not Michigan football.
Right.
He is for now, but he's Utah football. And Utah's directly related to him being the coach at Michigan.
And he will be back at Utah, not as a coach, but he will be back in the fold.
At some point.
At some point.
I would guess.
Yeah.
And how that goes. If for no other reason, Ben, we in this market kind of hero worship our own. We think that we think that Jerry Sloan was the greatest basketball coach.
Well, we've just talked about the bizarre tenure that seemingly every coach gets in the state of Utah. There are exceptions, Ty Corbin, et cetera, but Quinn was like the second or third longest tenured coach.
Yeah.
In the NBA by the time he left.
We fall in love with our guys.
Yeah.
And we think they're geniuses.
Witt, Kalani, Lavelle, Ronnie Mack.
Doesn't part of you, and the proverbial you, wouldn't part of you love to have seen how Lavelle Edwards did coaching Detroit?
Yeah, how they did
Detroit
with the Lions.
Wouldn't part of you kind of want to see how it played out with Rick Majerus at USC?
Kalani at Penn State?
Or Kalani at Penn State. Part of you to see, is this coach that we fell in love with really a genius, or is it proximity? Is Coach Witt really a genius, or is he just here? And now he gets a chance to prove his whole thing at a different school, different location, different resources, all that. I'm curious to see how what Jay Hill talked about, Whittingham's defense, how that does in the Big Ten. We've never seen it.
We haven't.
We've seen Ohio State carve it up in the Rose Bowl. We saw Penn State run over it in the Rose Bowl. We've seen Utah shut down Michigan under Jim Harbaugh, and that defense really succeed.
Saw Northwestern beat Utah in a bowl game.
But what happens?
10-3.
What happens when that defense is that? I mean, will offend some people, I guess, but the highest level when it's playing against Ohio State. How was it Witt or was it Utah? Is that an easy way to break it down? Was it the coaching prowess of Kyle Whittingham, Or is it something in the sauce at the University of Utah?
What happens when Whit has Bryce Underwood, the former number 1 overall recruit at his position at quarterback? Whit with a quarterback has always been the dream, and when he had Cam Rising, look at what he could do. He could get to the Rose Bowl in back-to-back years. Underwood should be way better than Cam Rising was. So what happens, now that you got a Whit defense with the type of offensive firepower that Whit wouldn't, resisted having at Utah?
All that stuff is interesting.
I'm totally with you.
But to the call-in and the Snap Talker here's point, I don't think it's Michigan we're talking about on Utah local sports radio. I think it's our local figures that happen to be in Michigan.
You and I are not going to be breaking down the offensive line at Michigan and how they played week to week.
No.
Or is that the weakness of the roster? You're not ever going to hear that. No, but you'll hear Kyle Whittingham. I do think what we are experiencing, though, is totally understandable, but this is, it's Yelp reviews. Generally, you go and you have a pretty good time at a restaurant. You're not going home and getting on Yelp and saying, yeah, it's good. That's like exactly what I expected. You either had a horrendous time and you're going to go on Yelp and be like, the server forgot about us, they overcharged us, they didn't bring the right food, the food was cooked wrong, whatever it was. That's when you're going to get on and leave a review for something. They totally messed up. I'm angry about it. That's why. So I think that's probably a little bit of what we're hearing. And by the way, that's not to say your opinion isn't justified. I think people get to be frustrated, hurt, whatever, not want to hear it. I do think that's part of it. I do think there are more people not calling in, not messaging us, who say like, yeah, of course I'm interested. It's Kyle Whittingham. It's Jay Hill. It's all these former Utah players.
Again, Aaron, who gave us the feedback, I actually think you are interested, Aaron. But I'm not going to tell you what to think, so maybe you're not. And you shared with us you're not. But I think deep down you are. I am. I'm interested to see how it goes. So we'll approach this topic with I don't know. We won't talk about it all the time, but we're certainly not going to ignore it.
Well, the pie in October is not going to be 25% Utes, 25% BYU, 25% Jazz, and 25% Michigan.
No. Oh, our topic pie.
Our topic pie.
The pizza place.
No, or Razzleberry. No, I'm not. No. Our topic choice, no, Michigan is not going to get a quarter of the coverage that we talk about with our 3 other main teams here, or, bring in Utah State and bring in, I'm not trying to dismiss anybody here. I don't think anyone's expecting that.
But Witt's taking the podium tomorrow at Big Ten Media Days.
Yes.
There's not going to be a ton else to talk about. Yeah. So we probably might play a little bit of Witt.
I got to tell you, I'm curious to hear what he says.
And guys.
I really am.
Oh, if Witt, week 2, September 12th, Michigan plays Oklahoma. You beat Oklahoma, an SEC school, in Witt's first real game at Michigan? Huge story. Witt gets smoked by Oklahoma in his first real game?
Huge story.
It's a huge story. I just that part of it is a little bit unavoidable.
All right, we have a voicemail controversy, speaking of our voicemails.
Jeez.
And I've heard this, but you have not. So I'm curious to hear you weigh in on the controversy. We will get to that coming up next. It's Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Bike's sputtering on me.
That's not what you want on a cross-country trip.
Yeah, you're telling me. Looks like my journey ends here.
No, mate. You ride with Geico Motorcycle Insurance and got their 24/7 emergency roadside service. They'll fix your bike right up. Where you headed, anyways?
Oh, I'm going to Cromenge. You ever been?
No, I can't say I have.
It's like Stonehenge, but shiny.
It feels good to ride with help. It feels good to Geico. Emergency roadside service is optional coverage.
Not only do these guys give you the best jazz coverage in the market, they've got you covered with the Mammoth, the Cougars, the Utes, and the Aggies. This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on the airwaves, talking sports. They got him made drinks and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarf. Oh my.
So hype songs could be Motley Crue's Kickstart My Heart and Ozzy, Crazy Train. Come on, let's get it. By the way, this is Chris, calling from Idaho.
This is for the Jake and Ben show. First, we all need to buckle up for the bear raid offense of BYU this year. Go Cougs! Second, Christian, I'm still waiting on that Minky I won a couple weeks ago. Third, you could have gone with Whatever It Takes or Natural by Imagine Dragons. Can't Hold Us by Macklemore also would have been a good one.
All very good selections. The first one was Chris, and then followed by Jake. We appreciate you not only listening, but leaving a voicemail. All very good.
Christian will deliver that Minky to you.
Personally. No travel distance is too far. We don't know where you live, Jake.
The further, the better.
Yeah, I got a new car.
We hope it's Elko.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for leaving those. We do have a voicemail controversy. All right. Now, what is the name of this? Brett. All right. So here's the thing. Brett left this voicemail at what time?
In the morning?
3:41 in the morning.
Okay.
Now, is this legit or an act? Okay. Are you ready?
Let's hear it.
Go ahead, Christian.
Hello, everybody. This is just the time of the life with the Larry Carey show. We're talking to Bacon Jim. It's the greatest show other than the BJ and TK show. Scotch and Papa Roach. Whoa, wait a minute. Double mint, the pleasant of double mint gore. Man, I talked to Christian Tabernacle Choir. Cats in the wall, everybody. Here we go. We got Wrigley Double Mint Guru. Everybody have a Budweiser. Good night, friends. I love you.
It's the best call-in we've ever had. No question about it. I think it's real.
No, there's no way.
You think that's fake?
Oh, it's so fake. And it does. I don't think it's our best call-in ever because I think it's he lays it on way too thick. And even kind of a nod to Harry Carey at the beginning. But the fact that it was submitted at 3:40 in the morning is interesting.
Okay, so walking through the logistics, where do you record that? He's screaming into his phone.
Uh-huh.
So you're talking about a person who's by themselves in a house. That does open up opportunities to engage in different activities, whatever they are, that you can't when you have kids at home or you can't. So there is some already legitimacy to the idea that that is accessible, whether you think it's intoxication or just kind of your natural approach to life. You go at it a different way than most people do. I think that becomes more plausible that he's talking that loudly at 3:41 in the morning that could what's the word I'm looking for? Reflect the behavior of the phone call.
Cats in the wall, everybody. Here we go.
Okay, can I tell you why?
There is enough linked to get. If you had recorded that at 11 in the morning, fake. Nobody is, if he's drinking, well, not nobody, but that's a lot of alcohol for 11 in the morning. That is where a lot of people find themselves at 3:40 in the morning.
Exactly. Well, 3:40. That's the only reason I'd even kind of consider it. But let me tell you why I am not.
Okay.
Have you ever heard? Well, you've seen the movie Leaving Las Vegas
Mhm.
with Nick Cage.
Mhm.
For those of you that aren't familiar, and he won an Oscar for this.
Mm-hmm.
He was an alcoholic, and the movie's about his alcoholism, basically.
Drinks himself to death.
He does, which is huge downer.
Uh-huh.
But Nick Cage talked about when he was preparing for the role, he spent some time studying alcoholics and all this sort of thing. And, he's probably overdone it a time or two himself.
Yeah.
But what he said was, and why the key to his acting performance is he realized that people who are, blackout drunk are trying to act sober.
Right.
They're trying to act sober, but they fail. So it's why it's kind of slower and they try to be precise.
Yes.
This, and if you, ever since I heard that, whenever I've talked to somebody who's overdone it, you can tell.
The worst drunk acting are the people trying to act drunk.
They are, yes, that's what I'm saying.
The best drunk acting are people trying to act sober.
Trying to act sober, but they can't.
Yes.
This strikes me as somebody who's trying to act drunk, not somebody who's drunk trying to act sober. Like, play the first little bit of it again.
I have seen people.
Hello, everybody. This is just the time of their life with the Glary Carey show. We're talking to Bacon Jim.
It's just a little too precise
You're right.
of the misnaming.
You're
You know what I
right.
mean?
You're right. No, because I had the same thought too early on, and the longer we got into it, the more I started to believe it, that this is actually whatever is going on at 3:40 in the morning, that this is authentic and not an act. Because I had the same doubts, certainly. There are enough things there to me that make me believe that that's a real call, and I did love that call. But I get where you're coming from. And you're right, yes. If you've ever been to a restaurant, a wedding, I'll say wedding, because all of our listeners have been to a wedding.
Where someone
has overdone it.
Yeah.
Watch them walk to the bathroom. They try and walk in a straight line. They open the door to be polite to make sure no one thinks they're I'm totally cool.
Stumbling all over the place.
And they're a mess. But they're trying to act sober.
They're trying to keep it together.
Yeah.
Like if he would have misnamed our show Bacon Ben or so, I don't know. But
Bacon Jen is a little too on the nose.
It's too much.
You're right.
It's
Okay.
too much.
I'll listen to you. You're right.
It is funny, but if it's fake, it does ruin it for me a little bit. Either way, who was it, Brett?
Thanks for the call.
Well done, Brett. You know what?
Thanks for the voicemail.
We got a couple of laughs and a segment.
Had a good time.
Yes, we did. And a drop. We'll keep that cats in the wall.
Cats in the wall, everybody. Here we go.
Yeah, we'll keep that.
We'll keep it.
So shout out to Brett. If it is legit, Brett, go to bed a little earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3:40 is late.
Save it for a Friday night, not a Tuesday.
Call it a night at midnight.
Yeah.
All right. 6 o'clock hours next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Your coffee would never get cold. Your flight would always be on time. And your mattress would always respond to you and your unique sleep needs. Sleep Number mattresses are designed to respond to your body and shift with your changing life, helping you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number. To a good life sleep.
As an entrepreneur and dream driver, I know how much heart goes into building a brand. That's why I love seeing small businesses have the opportunity to reach more people. Walmart helps customers discover products from thousands of small brands, each with a founder story built on passion, perseverance, innovation, and purpose. Learn more at walmart.com.